Right, welcome to Flow Tricks. My internet is down, so I'm doing this completely off the phone. I won't be able to do anything fancy, but I did want to talk about the Cerberus chucks. I'm going to show you a couple tricks and some core fundamentals that I'm learning with this. Now, I'm not trying to do anything too fancy right now. I'm just trying to understand what makes this work. So I'm going to show you a few things. First, we need to develop some terminology or some thoughts. Now, I'm totally open, but right now I'm going to call this an open grip because my arms are open, and then this would be more of a closed double grip. Or we can call it closed stance or open stance. Just an easy way to remember, if this is closed, it gives you different moves than if it's open. With open, it makes it a lot easier to do like little helicopter-y moves. I think Anthony had already talked about helicopter as a move where you kind of flinging it back and forth like that. Something that I noticed, you can do hand rolls with these things, but depending on if you're underneath or on top will change the hand roll. So if we're in an open stance and I'm just bouncing it horizontally back and forth like this, if I come from the top, if my right hand comes off from the top, when I say that, that means I'm going to try to do the roll here. My arm goes to the top of it, it becomes a front to front hand roll. So if I do it over here, it's a front to front hand roll, but it looks like I'm going to get caught up. So what I immediately have to do is arc it over. So you have to kind of diagonal your way through it. So if you go here, you do your hand roll and you kind of arc it over, you can continue the motion and you don't lose it. So here to the top. Now, that's one way to do it. If you come from the bottom, so if you want to keep it, and that's going to be, again, we move to a closed position. So we start open, and then we do the hand roll, and we kind of end in a closed spot where both of our hands are together as opposed to in opposing angles where the chuck is rolling through it. If we go to the bottom, we keep the open position, but then it changes the hand roll. It's no longer a front to front when we're coming from the bottom, but it's a front to back. So we're going to be in a back grip if we go from the bottom here, like this, which is really interesting. And it's the same thing as if we're doing it here too. If we're coming in from the outside, this would be like my right side would be like the bottom. In other words, I do a front to back hand roll right here, and you notice I switch to a back grip. And it'd be the same thing on the other side too. So you can practice this at least. For this one, let me see, it would be like that. And then we'd be in two back grips. So this is also a way for you to understand how you can kind of revolve through it. If we do it again, it will be a back-to-back hand roll because it's very similar to a chuck. So you kind of have to know how to do back-to-back hand rolls. And of course, it'd be the similar here too. If we do it again, it would just be a back-to-back hand roll. So if I'm in the back grip and I go up, it's going to be another back-to-back. Those are some very simple fundamentals, but I think it's going to be important before we continue to do anything more fancy, because those rolls is what's going to get us around it. So you're going to want to practice open, closed, the hand roll that you do to stay on the outside, the hand roll that you have to do to stay on the inside, and then you do both sides and you do both directions, and you have a lot to work with. I've noticed with the Cerberus, a lot of times when you go to the inside and you go to a closed, you almost always have to have some sort of diagonal escape or you'll crash into each other. A prime example is when I do this front to front here, we get tied up if I don't escape it. So when you think to the inside or when you think closed, always think move diagonally to get through it, and you can just keep it going. Closed, diagonally your way through it. So there has to be some sort of arcing motion or you'll get caught up and you'll get all wrapped up. Another thing that I've learned with helicopters and things like that, like for instance, if I'm doing this stall pattern where I'm using both hands to stall, I find that the helicopter works a lot easier if you wait until you really swing, and then you got to give it a really hard flick. So like, let me see here, whoosh, like that. So really wait until it goes down and then flick it up. And then as soon as the other chuck is in motion, you're really focusing on the other chuck to be in motion first whenever you're doing these flick type motions. What I've noticed, if you throw too much force beforehand, you'll get this floppiness. So you really have to focus on the free chuck. Has to build up momentum before you can go into the flick or the helicopter or whatnot, which means left hand has work to do. But then you can practice these nice little passes too, which is something I've been working on, which is simply do one bounce, do a little helicopter pass, and grab it soon, and then take it to another bounce, then change hands, and just see if you can kind of get the flow of this type of motion. Now, of course, there's a lot. The Cerberus chucks feels very limiting at first, but there's a lot you can do with it if you just try to understand where the rules are with these things. And I'm sure there's a lot more. You may have seen a video of me playing with these already. There's some cool tricks, but for me right now, I think understanding the fundamentals is going to be the core to unlocking the personality of the Cerberus. Anyways, hope you enjoy. Leave a comment, leave a message. I was gonna live stream today, actually. I was gonna live stream and go through all my YouTube comments, but my internet went down 5 minutes before I was about to announce the stream. So lo and behold, we have a Cerberus pre-made video instead. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and talk to you all very soon.